we, most of the time, we don't even think about what it is we're ingesting, period. Number one, it's what we were brought up on. It's what they gave us. This is what you eat. Now, when mom takes the breast out of your mouth because you're now biting her nipple, she turn around and gives you the calf's milk. I don't need the milk anymore, right? I have teeth. It's just knowledge. It's being reminded of who I am as a part of the human species. And really what triggers me as it pertains to food. Now, you know, they beat me up sometimes when I'm being interviewed and they take clips of the interview and I'm completely and totally talking about veganism and me and how I feel about it. Those meat eaters come out of the woodworks and, they're just like attacking. But what I try to say most of the time is, this is my human journey, and it's the way that I understand my obligation is to the whole. I don't know of another place to live outside of the planet Earth. This is the only home since I've been here. And I know that because of our choices, each and every one of us, especially humans, there are consequences. And some of those consequences are affecting our weather.
This episode is brought to you by Pause, Breathe, Reflect, the app that can help bring more mindfulness to your everyday moments. Imagine what would be possible if more people could live more mindfully. Hey there, my fellow like-hearted humans. It's Michael, and this is the Kintsugi Podcast. And boy, do we have a gem for you this week. This story of connection is full gas energy. I sat down with Chef Babette Davis. I first discovered her from a mutual friend, Rich Roll. Rich had her on his podcast. And if you Google Babette, the first things that probably come up would be her physique. At 73, people, she has some guns. She does 73 push-ups to match her age. And to be fully transparent, when I first heard that, she inspired me to do the same. But let me be clear, my biceps look nothing like Babette's. And you'll also see stories about the health of her skin, her hair, her overall attractiveness at 73, because she doesn't look 73, whatever 73 is supposed to look like. No, the real juice, because all that stuff, that's all external. The real juice of Babette, and the reason why I wanted to sit down with her and share her story with you, is the juice within Babette. It's the inner stuff. That's the good stuff. The stuff about self-love, of connectedness, of oneness, what we choose to nurture ourselves with, the people we choose to hang around with, the food we eat. She has been through a lot. She embodies the Kintsugi spirit. And you'll hear her talk about crawling around her living room, looking through her sofa for rocks of crack, which I can't relate to, but I can relate to this. In my words, that's a last bad day moment. And she took that experience and now has transformed it into spreading ripples of goodness. And we're going to talk about all of them. I know you'll want to share this week's conversation with your friends and family and colleagues. So if you're ready, buckle up and take a healthy breath in and a slow releasing breath out, and get to know Chef Babette Davis and her story of connection. Chef, so good to see you.
It's so good to be here.
I first heard you on Rich Roll, and like many, I was just pulled into your vortex, and I was like, I need some Chef Babette.
Oh.
And I became a fan within like the first 2 minutes. And I know people listening today, if they don't already know you, they'll become fans as well.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. You too.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we share a little rich role in common.
There you go.
So we've both been in that wonderful studio of his. So here we are sitting down, end of August.
Yeah.
How's life treating you?
You know, life is great. I'm on a journey just like the rest of us, and we have those moments. But you know, the older I get, I learn to take each and every moment as a teachable moment, and no matter what it is, I just get better and better, and happier and happier. And I to be as enlightened as I am now, and to know that I have so much more to learn, is just such a blessing. So I'd rather not complain about the journey. I just like to keep on it.
I think that's really wise. You know, just bring it all, right? All of it. The
What
tough
else?
moments, the good ones, you know, because I think you've said this. We only have this moment together.
That's it.
You know, we don't tomorrow's not promised to us.
Next second ain't.
Next second ain't. I hope we're going to finish this podcast. I think we will. But it's breath by breath. It's moment by moment.
It is.
And when we break and crack, we find a way to come together.
Yeah.
And it's a slow build as we move forward. And
Yes.
sometimes we go backwards and sometimes we go sideways. But we try to go forward, and we're always learning.
Yeah, always. Well, we should be.
We should be.
We should be.
Sometimes we're not learning. We repeat the same mistake over and over again.
Until we get it.
Until we wake up.
Until we get it.
Maybe the pain is so strong it wakes us up, or maybe we just wake up.
You know, the human experience is incredible. It
The
really
human
is.
experience.
It's such a blessing. I'm so glad that I am in this right now as human. You know, I'm so grateful. That's
really is.
That's another reason I do plant-based. I really try to take care of this human form for as long as I possibly can.
Chef, we only get one body.
That's it.
Like, we can't turn it in. Like, we might as well be kind to our body, to our mind, to our hearts, and to each
the
other,
whole,
and
to the
ourselves, and to all creatures, because
Exactly.
you only get one crack
That's
at
it.
this.
That's it.
So if people just started following your Instagram, sure, and you're on fire, by the way. Just, I think the first time I heard you, you like had 200,000 followers, and now you got close to 500,000. So the picture on your Instagram feed is like, life is good, almost like what you've just shared. But I know it wasn't always the case. I'm hoping for those that don't know you, we can go back a bit, maybe right before that moment you walked into City of Angels Church and you had some ahas, and because life wasn't easy. You could easily be the person that's playing the victim. Woe is me. I got dealt a bad set of cards or hand of cards, and you could have gone down a completely different path.
Oh, for sure. For
So
sure.
can you share more about
You
those
know,
earlier days?
when you say that, it's incredible that you say it that way, because my mother only had 3 children. My sister was 5 years younger than myself. She's already transitioned. She went through the drug thing like I did, but she never came out of it. You understand? So it's the difference in the journey and timing. I don't regret one step of my past. Nothing that happened in the past do I regret. I don't. I can remember a girlfriend's daughter who had a challenge with her stepdad. He was in the middle of the night with a flashlight looking under the covers. Yeah, weird stuff. Had I not experienced molestation as a child, her mother didn't believe her. Perhaps I wouldn't have, but I was there for her. I got it. Okay? I was blessed with that knowledge, even though I had to experience it at it started at 5. And it was the only person that did something to me like that. But I have no regrets because I was then able to house her, to take care of her, to love her, and to believe her. And man, I was not the same person prior to walking into Reverend Dr. OC's service that day. I was someone totally different. And then when I walked in, because Christianity never spoke to me. It was too confusing for me. I wanted questions answered, and nobody could ever answer those questions. But as love was expressed to me, and the oneness on this planet, and the fact that I am a mere expression of that which created all of it. I'm just a mere I began to feel a lot different about my purpose here, who I was. And it spoke to me. It really spoke to me. So my life began to change. I began to really, really get into Babette. I mean, wow, because crack cocaine is a very debilitating drug. I don't know if you know anything,
I know nothing about it. Babette, I have lived a pretty clean life.
Okay.
I am drug free. So like this whole crack world that you once lived in, I'm living vicariously through that, and I'm not sure if I want to, but I do because I want to know more of your story. But I have no clue.
Really? How old are you, honey?
I am 56.
56. Okay. Well, back in the day,
yes,
crack just overtook our community. And the sister that I told you about, who has transitioned already, I was visiting from Colorado, and I don't know why I was hanging out with her, but she said, "Try this. This is cocaine. You don't have to snort it." So I tried it, and I was like, "Oh, this makes me feel great." And if you hit crack correctly one time, you're pretty much addicted. That's kind of what that drug was. And it really debilitated the community. It was a horrible drug for us. And so I got on this stuff, and I was dating a guy who was a big drug dealer. I mean, I could get as much as I wanted. Yeah. And so I know.
You knew a different type of chef. You could just get the kitchen was open for you.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Bring me more.
It was crazy. I can remember getting off of flights. I was a flight attendant at a time. I can remember being picked up from the airport and my girlfriend saying, "I got some rocks for us," and me having to stop at a local gas station to go poop, because whenever they talked about that stuff, it made me feel like I had to use the bathroom. It was horrible. Crawling around on the floor, picking paint off the wall. I would see a bubble of paint on the wall and it would look like crack to me. That's how debilitating this drug was.
You were messed up.
I was jacked. I was really jacked. But man, the universe is good, because I remember I had a hernia, and so I hooked up with a new person, moved to LA, and got out of that old relationship, but this new person liked to snort it. So we get in touch with another drug dealer. We're cooking crack rocks now. We're making these beautifully shaped crack rocks, putting them in display cases, and he's paying us. And so I'm taking all the leftover trash, smoking this. And one day I'm at my mom's, home where I grew up on the east side of Los Angeles, and I'm in an empty bedroom. It was my old bedroom. And I'm sitting in the floor, and my mother had given me access to this room, and I'm in there smoking this stuff for hours. And I ran out of my supply, and I was going through a old bank. It was a piggy bank in the room. And I'm going through this piggy bank, and it's like a voice from nowhere that said, so that's who you are now. That's what you do. You go through
Wow.
piggy banks. I couldn't believe it. First off, I have never looked back. I got out of the relationship. Oh my God, I got out of the relationship, wound up with somebody else that took myself and my daughter in. And that's the first time I went to City of Angels Church, when I was with this new person. He has since transitioned, but I give thanks for him every single day, because he didn't not have to take my daughter and I in, and brought us into his beautiful home. It was clean, no drugs, and I began to get spiritually strengthened. And that's that story.
That is incredible. And
No.
what a kind gesture by him.
He did not.
Just,
He did not.
he didn't have to do any of that. He could have just said.
Let me tell you why he probably shouldn't have. He had a son that had emotional challenges. He took my daughter and myself. My daughter was the same age as his son. Took us both in. He should have been focusing on his son. But he married me, took both of us in, sent these kids to private school, bought me my first home that I wound up keeping after I'm saying, I'm tired of you. I think about, I wasn't ready for him really, but he helped me with the healing process.
Yeah, the way I hear it is like, he was the start of the healing process.
Yes.
So you could find yourself,
yes.
and then you could get into that church and realize, like,
exactly.
Hey,
exactly.
people, you're looking all around. You're looking around the pews, like, hey,
exactly.
We're not individuals here. We are all connected. We are all
we are
one.
all one.
My white ass story from the suburbs is in your story, and your story's in my story.
Exactly.
And we're all connected.
But the universe, the intelligence didn't create just roses.
Yes.
And the funny thing about us, especially when we get so tiny as it pertains to complexion, we'll go to other countries and love those countries. We'll love the food. We'll love
the people. We love
we
love it all.
About
yeah,
it.
we're posting photos. We're posting it on the internet. We're loving it all.
Loving it all. But then when we get back home, we get goofy about complexion. It's so ridiculous.
It's so limiting. So limiting.
It's sweetheart.
I think it comes from, and this is one of the things I love about your story, because I know you've been doing your thing, and you've been on other shows, and you've been on TV, and the whole shebang, and folks make a big deal about the bod, because you're ripped, and your beauty, and your skin, and how you're aging in reverse, and your hair, and all that, which I would trade. I would give my left arm for your hair, because, my hair it's getting a little sparse up there, Chef. I'm just saying.
So. No, sweetheart. No. I'm a girl. And there's this company called Love Me. Okay. And Love Me sells this beautiful curly hair. And I make sure that I have boxes of Love Me. I'm going through just exactly, I'm 73 years old. I'm going through the same thing with that hair. So don't be tripping. It's me and Love Me. We have a connection.
So we digress here, but that's okay. That's the conversation. But the thing I love most about your story and what you preach is just the importance of like checking in with ourselves and loving on ourselves.
Oh, isn't it important?
So important, because I think fundamentally, that is the center of what what's hurting us.
Yeah.
What's causing us some pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're hurting and we're walking around, there's a great quote that anger is when pain makes a public appearance.
I
right?
love that.
And there's a lot of hurt, and it's generational hurt.
Yes.
You know, I rode my bike across the country in 2022, and I rode through some deep rural parts of the country, and there is a lot of pain.
Wow.
And we keep downloading our pain onto future generations and onto each other. And we don't see ourselves as being connected and being one. So,
we don't, unfortunately.
Yeah. How do you do it? You know, because we sit here in an election year in this country, and we've heard the narrative how we're divided and all that jazz, and we see action, and we see behavior that suggests that we are. But I do believe that most people are good people.
They are.
We are like-hearted. We may not be like-minded, but we're like-hearted. We have good hearts.
Yeah, we do.
So how do you do it? How do you stay in this moment of making sure that you're loving on yourself, loving on Chef, and also seeing people and extending love out to others, even when their behavior can be upsetting to you or maybe to some others?
I don't know of one person running 100. I really don't. I've not met them yet. I've not met one of us running 100. And so when love became so important to me, number one, it just covered up. Now, I have my moments like everybody else. But the one thing that I know how to do is to reel it in, look in the mirror, and be like, Babette, come on.
Come on.
Who are you?
Come on.
Who
Come on,
are
girl.
you?
What are we doing?
Who are you? I mean, I've been married to my current husband since 1992. And, well, come on, we've grown. We were one age when we were married, in our 40s, about to be 40, and now we're in our 70s. Okay? So there are times, and we own a business together, that we pow. There's something, though, about the spouse, that togetherness, that when we say something to each other that's not very kind sometimes, we get very, very bothered by it. But I have to have the conversation with self. Babette, do you know Babette? Do you know you? Is what he just said correct? No. Well, then why are you responding the way you're responding? I have to have that conversation with me. And until I get it, until I really get it, I'll continue having the conversation every time I respond negatively. Because it doesn't do, if you ask me tomorrow what Ron and I were going through, I'm probably not going to remember. That's how unimportant it was. But we have these egos that need to be fed. Egos get in the way.
Yeah,
and I want to have the last
after
word.
Midnight.
I want to have the last word. For what? I don't know. I just got to have the last one.
I want to be right.
I want to be right.
Yeah, that might be our greatest addiction, like addicted to being right.
You're right, sweetheart. That's it. So, I do have to have that conversation with myself. I love my life. It's a beautiful, beautiful existence right now that I don't meet strangers anymore. I don't meet strangers anymore. I can talk to anybody. I can share love with anybody. I do know when people don't want to be bothered. I get the energy is real, and I give people their space. But I understand who I am now, which I did not understand before. And once I began to understand, man, I'm just a mere expression of this greatness. Ooh.
Well, it starts to change the conversation you have with you, and that informs every other conversation you have with other people.
Exactly.
And yeah, energy is real.
Isn't it?
I go into corporate spaces a lot, and if I bring up energy, I get the look like, what are you talking about?
Here
Like
we
it's
go.
like here we go
Here we
with the
go.
woo
It's
woo,
the energy.
right? So woo woo. I feel badly for the word woo woo because it's so maligned in the world, but call it juju, call it mojo, call
You're
it
so
energy.
funny.
I don't care what you call it, but it's real. Like
It is.
you can be in a group of people. You can get on a bus or an airplane or go to a concert, and if the energy is low, you feel it.
Yes, you do. We're
And when the energy
we're
is
part of
high,
it.
you feel it. Yeah,
We do.
yeah. And that's that collective effervescence. Like when you go to a show and then everyone knows every word to every song.
Exactly.
You're like, man, you're
Yes.
like for like a minute, you're like, humans are fantastic. Like this is amazing. So,
You're
but
right.
we are connected, but it does take that space
It does.
when the ego wants to take over and we start judging each other for looking a little bit different than each other or loving someone different from each other or voting differently, or the list can go on to be like in that space. We can say, ego, take a seat.
Get back.
Get back. We're all connected.
Right.
Even though we have behavior that may not be the best.
Right now.
We're all
Maybe
right now.
it's
We're
just
all
right now.
We're all connected. We all have basically the same DNA in us. Just
We do. It is so true, sweetheart.
Yeah,
so
it's
true. So
crazy.
true.
So I came actually before I go into food because Ron helped you get into your food life, but we are big on connection stories here. This is one of my the favorite question of my wife and I. So she's a childbirth doula.
Really?
Yeah.
My daughter is.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. So my wife leaves this question for the day of the labor or the night of the labor or the morning of, because sometimes,
right.
The baby wants to come
when
the
it's
baby
coming.
wants to come,
right?
Not when the doctor wants it to
exactly.
come. The baby's coming on its own schedule. So the question that my wife will often ask the couple, like, hey, how'd you meet? And I've used this here because Kintsugi is all about connection. So as we get into a conversation, because we talked about like how to nourish ourselves, how to provide self-love to ourselves. One, it's that attitude that we're all connected, we're all one, and we pour into ourselves. We put our own oxygen mask on first.
There you go.
But with food, right? I think food is one of the most trustworthy things that we do every day.
Right.
We're putting something from outside into our bodies.
You're right.
And it's somewhat blind trust because for whatever reason we believe that everything in the grocery store is good. But
I used to believe that. I really did.
So did I. So how did you and Ron meet? Like what was that connection like?
Very interesting. It was in 1990 and I was a reservations agent and also a hairstylist. So the guy with the son, I got rid of him and he left me the house. Anyway, but
I don't know. That seems like a pretty good deal. I
created a little salon on my back porch, and I could have customers come over, and I'd do their hair.
So you were side hustling it
side
before
hustling.
You were a side hustle before there was a thing called side hustling.
Honey. I was paying that rent. I was trying to keep that house going.
You were hustling and grinding before there was hustle and grind.
There you go. But I check this out. I went to a fish market to get something to eat. I was still eating fish. And I met a member of his band, Rondo's band. He's a musician, singer, guitar player. And we were talking about music, and I told him, yeah, I sing. And he was like, you should come over and sing with us. So I made an appointment, went over and met Rondo. Rondo was the most outstanding because he spoke the most. and
Ah.
still does.
Not that
And
you're making any type of like suggestion or criticism that,
no,
but no, we just take it. That's more just fact, right,
it is,
Chef?
it's
That
completely
it's
and
just a
totally
fact.
that. It's
He
just
talks
what
a
it
lot.
is. It's what
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is. But
No, we
he
pass no
invited me to
judgment.
come back over and he wanted me to sing for him. He wanted to record it and la da da. Well, I was the singer that would put Aretha on and sing with Aretha. So I thought I was sounding like Aretha or Patti. I thought I was sounding like
Oh,
Patti
yeah.
LaBelle. If you're not recording yourself, you don't know what the hell you're sounding like. He recorded me.
Yeah, I sound just like Taylor Swift.
There you go. See what I'm saying?
When I
So
turn her up loud enough,
you
my
sound
voice
just
gets
like her, right?
my voice gets even better. It's
That was
remarkable.
what I thought.
Yes.
But listen, so he started recording me and he would say, sing this. And I would sing it. And he would say, so he'd play it back and he'd go, so what do you hear? And I'd be like, sounds great. And he would like, you're off the note. You're not on the note. And he says, when you sing it the next time, think higher. Then I was too high. Do you know after I finished that day with him, I don't think I sang again for about 6 months. I was like,
Wow.
you know,
He beat you down.
you
He was
cannot
like,
sing. You can't sing. You cannot
so
sing. Stop.
you're just trying quiet moments in the car or like alone. You're
Stop
just
telling people you can sing. You can't sing. But he told me I needed to join a choir. And he said, what's going to happen, it's going to tweak your ear. So you're going to be able to hear these notes and what you're supposed to be on. And it did get better. And yeah, and I hooked up with Ron. And 2 years later, we got married.
Oh, that's so great. You are married 2 years longer than we are. So we got married in 94.
94. Okay.
So like 30,
So,
we
yeah,
passed the 30-year mark. But
there it is.
hey, we both know like we got married a long time ago when we were different people. And
You
the
were
question
different
is,
people.
do you evolve and do you allow your partner to evolve and
Exactly.
age with grace and you're flexible and you go with the flow because at the
Exactly.
core, like there's still that juice, there's still that heart.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
we're getting
yeah.
ready to go on vacation. We're closing the restaurant down for some maintenance stuff going on. So we're getting ready to go. He's from Columbus, Ohio. I'm going to go hang out in Columbus for a week. When I come back, I'm going to take care of the carpal tunnel and the trigger finger issue because I've got about 3 weeks off. And so I'm going to take care of everything but I mean, this is what we do. Now, he got me this great apartment, furnished it for me. He's got a music studio. He lives in an apartment over by the restaurant, and he has access. But it's cool because he does talk, so I get to come home and I don't have to hear it all night.
Well, Chef, hey, whatever it takes.
Works.
I think that's why whatever it takes. And here's a funny story.
I love it.
So my wife's grandparents, they lived to 95 and 99. They were married 74 years, right? So, and they lived on their own, I think, up to the ages of 91 and
No,
87.
they didn't. No,
Yeah.
they didn't.
Yeah, they
No.
And so the movers came in to move them into what is like independent living or assisted
Right.
living. So they go into the house. It's a small little bungalow in Portland, Oregon. The movers come in, and they see 2 bedrooms. And the mover looks at it and says, 2 bedrooms? Man, if I thought of that idea, I still may be married. so you're like, whatever it takes, it helped them with their marriage and you guys having your own 2 places. If it were, my feeling is, if something works for you and it helps you to show up as a good human and treat other people with kindness, knock yourself out.
Exactly.
Like,
and he's my family now.
Yeah.
And at 70, almost 74 years old, he's almost 76. He'll be 76 on the 14th of September. It's like, I'm okay with you. We're good. We're good. We'll
Good.
ride it out together. you know.
Absolutely.
But while we're still young enough to take some time apart, let's have that break in the evening, you know. But it really does work for us. But it's where we are too consciously. We understand life differently. He's my family now. He's family.
He's family.
Period.
He's family. So this whole journey into food, you mentioned you're going to a fishmonger buying some fish.
Yeah.
In your early days, you're eting everything that a
I even
America
ate chitlins.
Chitlins.
I even ate hog intestines. That's the thing, you know, and I clean the
that's
poop.
marketing.
I cleaned the poop out of those intestines, grass, whatever it ate, I cleaned it, boiled it over and over to get as much of the fat off as I possibly could, and then sat my loved ones down at the table and said, here, eat some hog guts.
And for anyone out there who doesn't believe that marketing works, all you have to go is to that product, to some chitlins or some pork rinds, and realize marketing works.
Marketing is killer.
You just change the name, and people are like, this is good stuff.
They got us eating tongues, ears, feet.
And you have no idea what you're eating.
Look, tongues, ears, feet, tails, all of that.
You name it. You name it. So what was that journey into plant-based eating? Because
it was books. It was knowledge.
It was, because you didn't have, like back then, it wasn't like we had the internet we had today.
No.
And
we can find anything on Google now.
Yeah, anything. It's like it's right in the palm of our hands.
He gave me 2 books.
Which 2 books were those?
Fit for Life, volumes 1 and 2 by Harvey and Marilyn Diamond.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And because I couldn't digest my food, I belched like a monster every time I ate, acid reflux, the whole 9 yards. And once I read Fit for Life, volumes 1, it told me that's why you're feeling like you feel after you eat. Volumes 2 explained to me what's in toothpaste, all about all the aluminum and all that crap in the water, the whole 9 yards. That's what it educated me. And then the Mucusless Diet Healing System by Professor Arnold Ehret. He was brilliant.
All right. Now feels like a good time to take a moment to pause, breathe, reflect. And when we come back, Chef Babette will share the link between what we eat and chronic inflammation and so much more. But before we hear what she has to say, let's take 3 healthy breaths together. Wherever you may be, come into a comfortable posture. If you like, you can close your eyes, but if you're driving, eyes open, please. Safety first, after all. And we'll drop in. And we'll take a healthy breath in. Breathe up through your nose if you can. And bring your awareness to the breath. And then release the breath. And appreciate that feeling of relaxation as you breathe out. Let's do 2 more. A nice healthy breath in, appreciating how the lungs feel as they expand, and a relaxing breath out. And now 1 more. A full breath in, and a slow, releasing breath out. Awesome. You did it. That was a simple moment to pause, breathe, reflect. And when you download my app, you'll find hundreds of other practices that can help you let go of stress, open your awareness to life, and approach it with more thoughtfulness and grace, which can lead to more happiness. And who doesn't want to be happy? So you're invited to download our app today. Head over to Apple's App Store or Google Play and simply type in pause, breathe, reflect, and become a member of our like-hearted community, which is filled with humans looking to be better humans to other humans. Okay, now let's go back to our conversation with Babette Davis and discover the connection between what we put into our bodies and the chronic inflammation so many of us are dealing with.
He was brilliant. He was so before his time. He said, I don't care what you call the illness. You're inflamed. We're all full of inflammation. We're inflamed, period.
Absolutely. Do you watch TV?
Yeah.
So like, you watch TV and the commercials come on and the commercials for the drugs come on. And almost every one of them, every prescription med out there, the commercials we see, they're all about diseases that are tied back to chronic inflammation.
Yes. Wow.
And what we're eating, like every single one of them. And we know the body doesn't do well with stress.
No.
With inflamed, especially when it's chronic. And
right.
The way we're living, we're chronically inflamed. And then we wonder why we're not as healthy as we could be.
We're chronically inflamed.
And for me, like, my switch to plant-based eating was really a dare by my youngest daughter, who she went vegetarian at a really young age, I think at the age of 7. But as she's listening to this behind the closed door, she'll correct me once we get done. And then she went vegan when she went to college, and we had a whole conversation at the dinner table. It was Fat Tuesday. So I grew up Catholic, but I'm a lapsed Catholic. I was like, I can't, I'm not down with all that. It was also giving me the heebie-jeebies. They were putting off a little bit of a vibe, and I'm like, I don't want any part of that. Like, my dad was like, become an altar boy. I'm like, heck, I will. No way. So I left the church.
You're so funny.
So she was like, Dad, for like, what's Fat Tuesday? Oh, it's a big party in Mardi Gras down in New Orleans. It's the day before Lent and Ash Wednesday. And she was like, well, what do you do for Lent? And I said, well, we usually give up something. She was like, what did you give up? And I would say candy, cookies, sweets, because I do have a sweet tooth.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too.
And so she said, all right, well, for Lent this year, why don't you give up meat?
I love it.
And I went back to her. I said, well, I'm not Catholic anymore. Boo. I don't do this Lent thing anymore. And then she went, and you'll appreciate this, Babette. She was like, so are you chicken? You don't think you can do it? And then
she did not say that to you.
Yeah, right at the dinner table. And she knows exactly how to push my buttons. I'm like, I beg your pardon? I'm like, no, we're doing it. And I go, you're going to give up something too. You're going to do something too. And she did something too. And I did it for the whole month of Lent. And within 3 weeks, I started feeling better.
Wow.
Started feeling better. And how I could tell, because I'm a competitive cyclist, and the first race of the year is usually during the period known as Lent. And it's a big race. It's in New Jersey. It's down in blueberry country in New Jersey. The blueberries in New Jersey are amazing. And usually I do the race, and I do well, but the next day, I wake up, and I'm like, ugh.
Right.
The next day I woke up, and I was like, I can do this again.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I didn't have that. I didn't have all that information.
Wow.
And I've been through a lot with my own personal story, with my near-death cycling accident.
Right.
So I've felt the feels, as the kids would say. And I was like, whoa, this is a game changer. Wow. And it also slowed me down. So I was more intentional about my food choices.
That's incredible.
So when I was traveling, I was like, okay, let's just slow this down. There are options here. How do I put a meal together if I'm in the airport or whatnot?
Right.
And I just became smarter, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah, I had to do that too as a flight attendant back in the day because we were talking about the 90s now. So while I'm flying, I got to figure out and so you know what I used to do? I used to fast. If I had a 4-day trip, I fasted for 4 days. I'd just do clean outs all month long.
Just like a
Yeah,
water fast?
just water. Well, it was actually the master cleanse where I was doing the lemonade cayenne pepper.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The lemonade cayenne pepper. Yeah.
I would
know
just
that
take
one.
it with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before it was a whole system that you had to buy from the store.
Exactly.
So for people who are on the fence about trying to incorporate more plants, because what I share with people is like, listen, instead of going and doing a 180, going from having meat for almost every meal or most meals, think about trying to add more fruits and vegetables, which are good, to your plate. So don't think about trying to take things away. Think about what you can add.
Right.
And one remarkable thing that I discovered when I rode my bike across the country, as I mentioned, because I rode through cattle fields and I rode through acres and acres of soybean and corn. And we started doing research on the way through the country, through Kansas and Iowa and those states. And I realized that most of those crops never make it to our table. All they are just feed for...
They're feeding pigs, chickens, fish,
all that.
And cows soy.
Yeah.
So when people come in the restaurant and say they don't want soy, I'd be like, you eat chicken?
yeah. They're eating soy. That big steak that you're eating, all fed on soy and corn and all that. So how would you recommend people take a small step or a start to eating more in a plant-based way? Do you have any recommendations? Because I know you do your thing and you don't want to pass judgment on anyone else, but from your experience, are there tips that you've seen other people do? Because so many people come into your restaurant.
What helps me more than anything was knowledge. Who am I? Why do I have teeth like this? You know? Why do I not salivate when I see a chicken? I don't. I don't salivate when I see a cow, but I will salivate over a juicy ass mango or some watermelon.
Oh, absolutely.
I will. So I understand that most of the time, we don't even think about what it is we're ingesting, period. Number one, it's what we were brought up on. It's what they gave us. This is what you eat. Now, when mom takes the breast out of your mouth because you're now biting her nipple, she turn around and gives you the calf's milk.
Yep.
I don't need the milk anymore, right? I have teeth. So it's just knowledge. It's being reminded of who I am as a part of the human species. And really what triggers me as it pertains to food. Now, they beat me up sometimes when I'm being interviewed and they take clips of the interview and I'm completely and totally talking about veganism and me and how I feel about it. Those meat eaters come out of the woodworks and
absolutely.
They're
like, where are you getting your protein?
They're just like attacking.
Yes.
But what I try to say most of the time is, this is my human journey, and it's the way that I understand my obligation. My obligation is to the whole. I don't know of another place to live outside of the planet Earth. This is the only home since I've been here. And I know that because of our choices, each and every one of us, especially humans, there are consequences. And some of those consequences are affecting our weather. Look at what just happened in Alaska. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Sweetheart.
You don't need to be a rocket scientist.
We're doing this.
Yes.
We're doing this. And the point is, humans are very selfish because it's not just about you. I can pick those blueberries right off the bush and throw them in my mouth and be nourished. You understand? Coconut water, some of the best water you can drink.
Absolutely.
And so who am I and what am I supposed to be ingesting? I know they have a lot of information out there that's crazy. I saw something on Instagram today. It was someone talking about the fact, these foods are horrible for you, giving your kids these cereals with this dye and all this crap you're giving your kids in the morning. What you should be giving them is milk, eggs, meat, and I was like,
How about none of the above?
None of the above. And so what I did was I respectfully moved on. It was not my post. I shouldn't have been there. You understand? Because then you get into battles. We're not learning anything if we're fighting.
I'm not here to
I'm here to say, this is my obligation. I'm on a planet, and the intelligence provided food for me that literally I don't even have to apply heat to it if I don't want to. I can eat it raw.
Absolutely.
And so I take my knowledge and I share to those who want to listen. That's the best I can do. But educate yourself, because knowledge is power. And that is the best suggestion I have for anybody. But I did do this to my customers. I did this on Rich Roll. I remember saying, so if you burn yourself and it blisters and you get pus in it, would you prick that? Would you prick it?
I remember you saying that.
And some people are like, it's not even ladder. It's body fluids. I don't care. When you put that chicken in the oven and you pull it out and that stuff oozing out, it's the same damn thing as far as I'm concerned. I would not prick my pussy thing and suck it, but you suck on that, whatever that is coming out of that chicken. No.
And you're like, it's so juicy and tender.
It's still, no. So I've had customers go, why are you doing that?
Well, sometimes that's the reaction you need in order to prompt some learning.
Just a thought.
Just some thought, some curiosity.
Check this out, though.
Yeah.
Check this out. Now that I'm 73, they're listening a little bit more. Yeah. They're thinking, she must know something.
Yeah, she's on to something. Like
she's on. She can still do an 8-minute plank. Yeah, she's on. I better listen a little bit more to her. So.
Absolutely. Hey, you continuously show up, you do your thing, and if people are ready, they're like, I'm going to consume a little bit more. But yeah,
but I'm here.
You're here.
To share.
You keep on showing up, and you're walking the talk.
And when I started this, I wasn't thinking about one animal. I was only thinking about me and the indigestion and am I going to feel better?
Oh.
And now I'm in love with everything moving, life itself. It's so weird, huh?
It's so weird and so amazing. But
when
you think about us human creatures, like how much stuff we take in terms of quote unquote medicine after we eat. If we were walking through nature and we saw a deer, eat some leaves or whatnot, and they popped like a Nexium, we'd be like,
"You're so silly."
Tums, we'd be like, "What's up with that deer? Like, what's going on?" Like, we don't think of food as medicine. And just for those that may not be curious, I just want to go on the record. I really don't believe that Doritos would be considered medicine. So just.
Well, first of all, let's straighten it out. If it's in a package, a bag, a box, in particular, those are products. That's not food.
Absolutely. That's not food.
And for you to say that about the medicine, Jillian Berry just posted a clip of me saying, and are we the only species on the planet that has to medicate ourselves?
Oh, really? Oh, I have to check that out.
Tums and
But it's crazy. There's a whole industry around like
on purpose.
our GI health on purpose, and in a lot of ways it wants us to be sick because
We're supposed to listen.
they want to
When they
sell
talk about population control, they don't need to pull out guns. They don't.
No.
All they have to do is give you a package of them hot ass Cheetos you're talking about.
Yeah, that will kill you.
You'll take care of it yourself.
Absolutely, like a whole bunch. Like,
and the pharmaceutical companies are running the medical industry, so they're all in lockstep, and it's all about money and power. It's all about money and power.
Absolutely.
But come on, individually, you have your own thoughts. I'm a black woman. I'm a black woman in America, and they want to talk about everything that goes on with black folks. But guess what? I have the freedom to eat what the heck I want to eat. If I don't have any other freedom, I have that freedom.
You have that freedom. You have the freedom. That freedom. You have the freedom to surround yourself with people who bring out the best in you. That's also medicine. You have the freedom to pour into yourself and love on yourself and have a healthy conversation. And all of that is medicine that helps us heal.
Man, this has been so fun.
Yeah, this has been great. We'll end it here.
We got to do it again.
We'll do it again. We'll do it. We'll do a part two. We'll do a part two.
Let's do part two.
We'll do part two because we could keep going. But
we could.
As we sit here, what makes you hopeful and optimistic about the future?
Well, that's really an awesome question, because I got myself a little pretty down in the dumps a little bit when Joe Biden was running for president. And then as soon as he quit and Kamala came on, I got better. Yeah. And so it was also a teachable moment. My mother said, the darkest hours are just before dawn.
Yeah.
Stay there, Babette.
Stay there. Choose joy.
It's always going to be better.
Joys.
It's always going to get better.
I think Governor Coach Walls,
yes.
I think he's actually Ted Lasso in disguise.
I think so too.
So he's got that Ted Lasso vibe.
He does.
Going,
he does.
And Ted Lasso, I'm not sure if you watched the show, but it was one of my favorite shows during the pandemic.
I remember.
That helped me heal. So
what? But before you go anywhere, what happened? I want to hear from you. Like, what the hell? Oh my God!
So that Ford Explorer, there I was riding my bike in New Mexico. I was at a company offsite meeting with like 30 colleagues doing this offsite team building, trust fall, PowerPoint through the whole week, and I brought my bike out since I was training for a big bike race back home because I live in New Jersey. So I flew out with my bike, and I had this beautiful.
You live in a pretty place too.
Yeah, it's
gorgeous.
It's a good, like our little corner of New Jersey. Like New Jersey does get a bad rap because we're not an hour away from like the Rocky Mountains, but we're an hour away from like being in hills and Catskills.
No, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and we also have the energy of New York City. So whenever I feel a little down in the dumps, I look at New York City, and I can.
You can hop right on a flyaway. And then a train, boom, you're right in Manhattan.
Absolutely. And I can ride my bike
ahead. Tell me
right
about
in
that.
there. So I was doing a little, 20-mile ride before everyone else woke up. And on the fourth lap, a Ford Explorer crossed over into my lane. It was going 40 miles an hour.
No!
Yeah, and I looked at it and I was like, this does not compute. Like, what's happening? He's going to see me. Clearly, he's going to see me. He's going to see me. He's going to see me. He doesn't see me. He doesn't see me. Oh, my God. And I tried to, like, bail into the ditch, and I just ran out of space. And we have no idea why he crossed over. My theory is that he was trying to cut the apex of a little bend. he was going 40 in a speed zone that was 20. He was rushing to work. He was going into the hotel where he worked, the hotel that we were staying at, and he was working our meeting.
No!
Yeah.
No!
Yeah.
And he almost killed you.
Yeah, and I remember everything of that morning. I remember the sounds of me hitting his truck, the sound I made when I went into the windshield, the screech of his brakes. I remember the chaos of the medical emergency professionals that surrounded me when I regained consciousness. I remember the sound of the helicopter coming to take me to Albuquerque. The doctors...
Albuquerque?
Yeah, so I had to fly 19 minutes from where I got hit to Albuquerque because that was the only trauma one center in the state. And when my wife arrived with our youngest was 7 months old at the time, and our oldest was 3.5 years old. I was 33 and my wife was 34. We married 7 years.
Oh.
You say, you leave the house on a business trip and you're like, see you in a few days, boo. You kiss, you hug. I'm a big hugger, so we just
Me too.
And you automatically think, this goes back to how we started. You automatically think, I'm going to come home.
Automatically.
Home. And one of the nurses, so first surgery took 12 hours. One of the biggest injury was when the left femur shattered. It just blew apart. It lacerated the femoral artery.
No.
And so I was losing a lot of blood. So I needed a whole bunch of blood. So my plea to people is, if you can donate blood, donate blood. You can literally save a life, as someone saved my life. And one of the nurses who was in the trauma room when I came, and she worked on my case, when I came out of the ICU, because I was there for several days, she came in to visit me, and she had just lost her husband. She was maybe mid-30s. I don't remember really any of this conversation, Babette, but she basically sat down next to me and she said, tomorrow's not promised. Make sure the people in your life know that you love them. And so when I was riding across the country, going back to that story, the news media of Albuquerque wanted to do a story about my ride across the country. Basically, where is this patient now? It was a warm, fuzzy, feel good. We saved this guy's life, but in a trauma situation, you save someone's life, hopefully, and then you don't see the patient ever again.
Again.
Here I am. I'm riding my bike across the country. So the NBC affiliate of the Albuquerque News wanted to do a story. That same nurse saw the story.
Oh.
And the next morning, I woke up and I pulled up Instagram because I was updating people every day as far as where we were and what we saw and all that jazz. And she opened an Instagram account. So she had 0 followers and she was following 0 people, but she opened an Instagram account. She had no profile photo, and she sent me a DM. And in the DM, and I still have it, I read it frequently.
Oh.
She told me about the conversation we had. So from the time we had the conversation to that moment, I had forgotten, because I was in such a state, that we actually had the conversation. And she went through like how she had lost her husband and where she was now, and how she is now a flight nurse who was, the flight nurse was so critical to my recovery, and how she told me, like, tomorrow's not promised. And make sure you tell the people in your life that you love them.
She's so right.
So I'm having breakfast, getting ready to go on the road, and I'm looking at my phone, and I'm bawling. I'm bawling. I'm crying. I'm crying. My wife wakes up because our 2 dogs wake up, and she's like, "What's going on? Like, what's?" I'm like, "You gotta read this." I read the phone. I gave her the phone.
So sweet.
Yeah. So much like you, I don't regret anything because it's helped me become the person I am today. It's put me in this position. In fact, if I don't have my accident and you don't have your search for
drugs.
cracks,
Yes.
the two of us never connect.
Never connect.
We don't meet each other.
There you go.
We don't meet each other. Neither one of us are guests on Rich Roll.
There you go.
You know, we don't know Rich. We're just doing our thing. Hopefully we're still alive, but we're doing our thing. And so I don't regret any of it because it shaped me into who I am today. And it's put me in a position to hopefully help others show up more compassionately, more thoughtfully, and realize that you can heal. You can, like Kintsugi, you can break apart. We all do to some degree. And you can come back together. And you dust your scars with gold and you put them out there and you say, I am a badass. I am celebrating my scars as golden symbols of strength and resilience. I am not hiding my blemishes. I'm actually putting a big old spotlight on them because it shows that I am living.
And you're grateful. You're grateful. Also showing how grateful you are for this gift of life.
Every moment of every day.
It sure
So
is.
I call the accident my last bad day.
I love it.
Because
that's so awesome. My last bad day, you got T-shirts?
I have T-shirts. I'm going to send you one. But here's the reason why. Because a lot of people, much like when you put content out there, people might criticize you because they don't understand the full context, right? So when people hear last bad day from me, they're like, toxic positivity. And I'm like, no. Nope.
You don't even get it.
You don't let me try to explain. What I realized going through my recovery is that one, everything's neutral until you label it and you get to choose your labels. And that's the label I have for my accident. And I also realized that we're all living moments. And each moment passes.
Yeah.
But if I can get to the end of the day and I have people in my life who I love and they love me back, then how can I label the full day a bad one? Impossible.
A bad one. Bad day.
I've had bad moments. I've had tough moments. I have angry moments. I have moments where I've been pissed off. I've had moments where I've been worried and anxious and all that. But I promised myself that I wouldn't give those moments any more fuel than they deserved.
I love it.
Because the moment's going to pass.
Sure
and
is.
all we have is this moment right now. And if
Do you say that? This too shall pass.
This too shall pass. And if I can get to the end of the day, and I know I have love in my life, then I cannot call the full day a bad one.
I need a fist bump.
Boom. We get a hug.
Oh, hug.
I so appreciate you. Babette, I love you. Everything that you're doing. And we'll do episode 2 as well.
Yes, please. Just let me know.
Yeah.
I'm there.
And I'm gonna come out to LA and we'll
You better come get some stuff I eat.
Yeah, we're gonna grab some food. I ordered, by the way, sea moss today.
You did? You got it?
I've never had sea moss. I ordered it this morning.
Yay.
From your place.
Thank you.
And it should come, I think, next week or whenever it's going to come. And I will report back. But I'm listening to you. And I'm following your lead as well as a whole bunch of people.
Well, we're best buddies now. I'm just in love with you right now. Thank you so much for this introduction and this time together. This was just amazing. I truly am really, really into you a lot. You're just cool as hell.
This was so much fun. I appreciate it.
It was. Thank you, sweetie.
Enjoy the week.
All right, tell your family I said hey. Tell them they got a new auntie.
That works. That works. I will let them know that.
All right, baby. Take care.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Chef is so amazing. I just love her, and I hope you love her as well. I told you she was going to bring full gas energy. I love her message. It's so important. Happiness, putting a beautiful ripple into the world, that is all inside out work. So we can look awesome on the outside, but if we're not feeling our best and doing all that we can to work from the inside out, it diminishes what kind of ripple we put into the world. So Babette, thank you so much for being who you are. and putting a ripple of goodness into the world. And as we mentioned, I think we have to have another conversation. My encouragement to everyone else is follow Babette on your favorite platform. If you're in the LA area, go to her restaurant, The Stuff I Eat. And because this is a podcast, I'm going to put all the different ways you can connect with Babette in the show notes. And when you do, let her know you heard about her from the Kintsugi Podcast. I also want to thank you for listening. Time is your most precious resource. We can't make any more of it. So the fact that you gave some of your time to the Kintsugi Podcast today means the world to me. And if you haven't already left a kind review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast, I hope you'll do it now. I also hope that you'll share this conversation with your friends, family, and colleagues so we can put a bigger ripple of our Kintsugi spirit into the world to help people understand that even though you might go through a whole bunch, as we all do, we can find a way to come back together, to heal, to reconnect, and then we can show up celebrating our scars as golden symbols of strength and resilience. And if you want to talk further about how to become more resilient, or how your team might, or perhaps how to prevent a bad moment from turning into a bad day, I'll put my calendar link in the show notes as well, and I would love to connect with you. So until next week, and our next story of connection, when you face a challenging moment, slow it down, come back to your breath, and remember that you've got this and we've got you. Together, we'll put beautiful ripples into the world. I love you. And I'll see you next week. This episode is brought to you by Pause, Breathe, Reflect, the app that can help bring more mindfulness to your everyday moments. Imagine what would be possible if more people could live more mindfully.